Do you want to invest in Japanese stocks? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Alan, and I run a Substack called Continuous Compounding, where I deliver actionable value stock vision. I invest worldwide, but a very good hunting ground for value stocks is currently in Japan. Here's my year-to-date performance, plus 39%. As you can see, I'm doing quite well. Now, investing in Japan can sound very intimidating for those who don't speak Japanese. But not to worry. I was once in the same boat as you, and I've been able to successfully navigate Japanese stocks using a few tools I will cover in this video. Most Japanese companies fall into the following three camps. Number one, they offer a Japanese and English investor relations with Japanese and English filings. This is the best case scenario. Amongst the companies that are nice enough to release English filings, sometimes they lack information only existent in the Japanese version. I have seen entire segmented revenue breakdowns, tables, and disclosures that are missing in the English version and are only existent in the Japanese version. Oftentimes, if you start off looking at English filings, you have to go to the Japanese filing to look for more information or to confirm your findings. The second scenario is Japanese and partial English filings, the bare minimum. Usually you will only find financial statements that are translated. This is helpful for the screening process, but not the best for in-depth analysis. Then there's the third scenario, where they only have Japanese filings. This makes screening or in-depth analysis rather difficult. So you might be wondering, why go through all this hard work to analyze a Japanese stock? Well, some of the best value investment opportunities in Japan come from micro and small cap stocks. These stocks often don't come with English filings. So knowing how to navigate these stocks with little to no English filings will open up your investment universe. You can turn over more rocks. So what is my goal? My goal is to, number one, enable you to analyze these companies without any Japanese proficiency. Number two, save time and have an efficient process. And number three, translate more accurately. You might have the notion that Google Translate is the best translator, but that is certainly not the case. What you'll find is that for Google Translate, for short like one word or short phrases, that Google Translate will do quite well. But once you get long sentences or into paragraphs, then Google Translate tends to not do the best job. What I found is sometimes what Google Translate spits out might not actually make sense. So what I found helpful is if on first pass you use Google Translate, it doesn't make sense. You might want to pass it through ChatGPT. What I found is that ChatGPT does a pretty damn good job. Okay, so the first tool I want to go over today is Kaijinet. And before we do, I just want to quickly shout out my post. This all the contents in this video are inside of a post entitled "How to Navigate Japanese Filings Without Knowing Japanese." So this was originally a post that I wanted to turn into video just to capture a larger YouTube audience. So yeah, let's move on to the first tool, which is Kaijinet. So Kaijinet, what is interesting about Kaijinet is that they essentially take the Japanese filing and then they convert it into English. So I'm going to do a quick overview for you. A stock I recently looked at is Fast Business Japan. And what you notice is that in the financial statement area, remember to click yen, by the way. For some reason, they have it on default as US, but make sure to click yen. As you can see here, they have, for the quarters, they have the balance sheet, the income statement, and comprehensive income statement in here. And then for the annual period, you'll have the cash flow statement as well. Yeah, and the other filings. But yeah, the main balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement are here. So one thing I want to do actually is go through a quick exercise. I'm just going to show you guys how I use Kaijinet to calculate enterprise value. I find this process to be quite efficient and quick. What I found out is that if I use a third-party data provider, sometimes their ratios or their calculations are hit and miss. So I always end up using Kaijinet just to quickly calculate enterprise values for the company, do some quick ratios, and I'm going to show you how to do that with Kaijinet. First thing I like to do is I go into the summary of the company, and then go to the bottom. There you'll find the shares outstanding, treasury shares, so 75. There you go. So that would get us market cap. And then we look for cash. So yeah, we just go to the top, we go to financial statements. And then, oh, also by the way, when you first click into the company, it will go to the most recent quarter. And the most recent quarter for this company is Q1, but earlier I moved to the fiscal year, correct? So that's why it was on that. But typically when you first click into a stock, it will go to the most recent quarter for you. Okay, so cash, 8430. And just to make sure that, again, reiterate, make sure it's at yen. Make sure you have the, it's in yen million. Make sure you know what units it's using so you can correctly calculate enterprise value. So yeah, no short-term investments, long-term investments, barely any. Yeah, so investment securities you do want to include. Oftentimes, a lot of Japanese companies will have investment portfolios in shares of their clients even. So yeah, you do want to include investment securities. There's also something called leasehold and guarantee deposits. This is essentially secure deposits. I don't typically include that, even though this is technically cash, because if the company, let's say they lease a place, unless they're going to end the lease at that location, then you won't get this cash back. But let's say the company's growing, right? And let's say they end a lease somewhere, but they're probably going to relocate somewhere and open another lease or have more leases down the road, then this figure will just keep increasing and not decrease. So I wouldn't really count on this as liquid cash. This is cash just for conducting business, essentially. Okay, and then current liabilities. So there is short-term borrowings, and then there's also current portion of long-term borrowings. Okay, so here they have contract liabilities. It's really hard to say when they convert it into English whether this is debt or not. My suggestion is if something is ambiguous, you just look at the Japanese filing, do some translations to pick up on what exactly is within contract liabilities. But what I can do is simply do this. I cannot type today, but yeah. And then question mark to look into further. Okay, and then non-current liabilities. So there's bonds payable, long-term borrowings. These are, I'm going to make the assumption that bonds payable is a debt item. Again, you can double check if you're not sure. Yep. So then net debt, enterprise value, and then lastly, shareholders' equity, which is book value. And there we go. So yeah, Fast Finish Japan is trading at 1.9 times book. EV to book isn't really a thing, but it's just something I use to gauge if they were able to utilize the cash that they have on their balance sheet. So yeah, so that's just a quick process of what I use to figure enterprise value. Okay, so the second tool I want to go over is Google Chrome extensions, namely Google Chrome Autotranslators. So this was actually this tip was actually given to me by a friend. Essentially, I was looking at Chinese websites, and they say, "Hey, there's a auto translator that allows you just to read characters in Chinese." So, like, I'm semi-fluent in Chinese, but sometimes there's hard words that I don't understand. So, auto translators definitely help me not have it to copy and paste and then move the word into Google Translate. So yeah, so when I was doing research on Japanese companies, I thought, hey, if there's an auto translator for Chinese, there must be an auto translator for Japanese. So yeah, so that's exactly what this is. There's auto translators, but something to note is that Google Translate is strong enough where an entire web page can be converted. So that's very nice. So where would I use these auto translators? Well, oftentimes what you'll find is you have PDF files. So a lot of most financial statements, most reports are in PDF file format, and so these cannot be converted using Google Chrome. And And what you'll find is that, hey, you have these words, and even the auto translator can't pick up on them. So one auto translator that I have found that works very well is called the Finder. Before I go there, I just quickly go over the other one I use. It's called 1010. I believe you can have it set to different languages, even not just Japanese, but 1010 is a reader that I use to auto translate. That was what I was doing over here just now. And then the second auto translate I like to use is the Finder. The great thing about the Finder is you can open the PDF into their PDF reader, and now everything is now auto translatable. So this, you can tell this is sales. Oops. This is operating profit. This is ordinary profit. Right. So it does the translation for you. So that makes life a lot easier. Yeah, so that was helpful for select like short phrases or small number of words. Like it does a good job. But once what I found is that for auto translators that used Google Translate as their main translation tool, is that sometimes the paragraphs that get converted don't make any sense. And so what I found helps a lot is essentially you just put it into Finder, copy and paste, put it into ChatGPT. Just put in a prompt, say translate to English, very simple prompt, and then it will do that for you. So yeah, if at first translation, the Google Translate version doesn't look like it makes sense, it probably doesn't make sense. So then what you can do is just put it into ChatGPT and get another better translation. What I found is ChatGPT does do a better job. The next tool is tool number 3, which is online doc translators. So what you'll find is that if you were to download, you're able to download these PDF files, and after you download them, what you can do is you just go to Google Translate, and there's a very handy function called document translation where you can just upload your document, your PDF file into Google Translate, and it'll spit out the entire document translated. What you'll find though is that Google Translate is not very good with organization. What you'll find oftentimes is after they translate, the row items are not where they're supposed to be. So if we look here, you can see that cost of sales is supposed to be in the second row. Sales is only supposed to be in the first row. And then gross profit is supposed to be in the third row, right? But you have them mixed here. So that's inconsistent. So a tool that was recommended to me by a Substack called AutoCap, I highly recommend you guys check out AutoCap. I'll link him later on, is Online Doc Translator. So what I found is that this website basically solves that problem, right? So without going into the actual process, I can show you what it looks like. So yeah, you have amount of sales, cost of sales, gross profit, SG&A, operating income. So everything is now very well organized and easy to read. Oftentimes, if there is a crucial information or there's numbers that I need to ensure that they're correct, I always have the Japanese raw version in the Finder open, just so that I can compare the two and make sure that they are consistent and accurate. Another thing is, again, the online doc translator does use Google Translate to translate. It's just more organized what it spits out. So if you look at paragraphs, it don't make sense. Again, copy and paste that into ChatGPT, and you might get a different answer, but more accurate answer, potentially. And then another reason why I use, going back to Kaijinet, why I like using Kaijinet is that for financial statements, is that everything is organized, the font size is consistent, everything looks aesthetically more enjoyable and easy to read, right? When you look at this, you'll find, hey, derivative valuation loss is much larger than non-operating expenses. So this is a little bit of an eyesore. So that's why I like using Kaijinet for financial statements. And then for other things like business overviews, that kind of that sort of thing, then I will use online doc translator. Yeah. So the next tool is OneNote. So what often happens is what you'll find is on a normal PDF will have text and things are highlightable, right? But sometimes what you'll find is that they have images embedded within the PDF, and the images are not translatable. So if you run that through the Google document translator or the online doc translator that I gave you, it won't be able to translate this. So one way to do it is with OneNote, and I'll demonstrate how. Yeah, so then the main function we are using from OneNote is the copy text from picture function. Now what you'll find is that it copies all the text from within the picture and pastes all of it. Now that can be rather difficult to navigate because let's say you're looking at this portion right here, and that corresponds over here, right? And that can be less than optimal. So another method that you can use is use screen clipping. Yeah, so let's assume we're looking at the PDF right now. So I click screen clipping, and I want to clip this portion right here. I want to translate this portion. Okay, so I've done that. I put it there for some reason. Okay, so let's try to do that. Copy text from picture. Do that. And I did this on purpose. So if your dictionary in your Microsoft Office is set to English, it won't be able to identify these characters. Okay, so initially what you'll find is that whatever comes out is complete gibberish. So what you need to do is instead is make text and image searchable in Japanese. Okay, now another thing is if you don't see the Japanese function, it just means you don't have that dictionary installed into your Microsoft Office. So all you have to do is just do a simple Google search on adding Japanese as a dictionary. And once you've done that, you'll be able to do this. So now when you click copy text from picture, voila, now there is the Japanese words. Now, built in within Microsoft Office, very conveniently, there is a translator. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if this is innate, this is going off Google Translate or whatever, but this is pretty accurate. Yeah. That's going to be tool number 5 and number 6. So this is actually not included in my original post. I only go up to tool number 4. So what I want to go over is when I was doing equity research on one of my names, which was For You, they had this website where every word is in text, right? So what you'll find is I have Google Translate on to translate Japanese to English, but nothing is translating. And the reason why is because the website is using a lot of images. So one trick I used is Google Lens. So Google Lens, a very convenient thing you can do is just highlight a section, click translate, and it can translate everything at once, right? So Pickling X in collaboration of Like Me, pre-save is always half price by Saison card. So how I would logic through this is you get to save your photos on Pinklink for half off if you use their Saison card. Or what you can do is individually click on text and translate them. Right, so this is half. I would probably highlight this part. Right, pre-save is forever. Right, so your pre-save is half off forever, or your pre-saves are forever half off with the Saison card, something like that. Yeah, so that's one tip and trick using Google Lens and Google Chrome. The more reason you should be using Google Chrome if you aren't already. But basically, tool number 6 is going to be the phone I'm using to record right now. I'm using the S24 Ultra. When it was released, they announced there was Google Lens and Google AI embedded in it. So when I was originally looking at this website, I was actually looking at it through my phone. And when I found that, when I saw that I could not read anything in English, I clicked the Google Lens AI button, the home button. You just hold it down for like 2 or 3 seconds, and it basically highlights the screen, and I was able to translate everything on that web page. So yeah, tool number 5 and 6 are basically the same thing. So Google Lens on your Google Chrome browser, or if you have the phone and you're out and about and you know doing research on a company, you can definitely go through a web page with your phone as well. So I've gone over tools that I used, and so now I'm just going to go through some tips I have. Tip number 1 is Reiwa Era. So when you initially translate documents with Google Translate or online doc translator, what you'll find is that they get the years incorrect, right? As you can see, it says March 1st, 2021 to 2020. That doesn't make sense. March 1st, 2020 to February 28th, 2020. That also doesn't make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because Japan has that they have their own calendar conventions. So currently we are in the Reiwa Era. I can't remember exactly how many years they announced a new era, but currently we're in the Reiwa Era. And the Reiwa Era started in May 1st, 2019. And the way you calculate like which year you are in post in the Reiwa Era is you start with the year that the era is announced, and that's year number 1, right? So if you see here, it says, see, I don't know, Reiwa 4th year. So Nian is in Chinese is year. And so it says Reiwa 3rd year to Reiwa 4th year, Reiwa 4th year to Reiwa 5th year, right? So how do you know which year is 4th year? So you count 2019, 2020, 21, 22. So that's 2022, 5th year. So 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. So that's the 5th year is 2023. I obviously, as a foreign investor, you would wish that they use the international convention, but given that they don't, this is just something that you have to know. Okay, so for the second tip, I want to get into how do you get used to thinking in terms of yen? When you first look at yen, you see these really large numbers, billion yen, million yen, tens of billions of yen, right? So it can be, there's a learning curve, but once you get used to it, it'll be pretty simple. And the shortcut I use essentially is just to move the decimal place 2 times. And that will get you into the mind frame of what yen, what the cost of something is or the price of something is in a local currency, right? So if something is a billion yen, right? So you move back 1, that's 100 million, move back again, second time, that's 10 million. So we're looking in increments of 10 million, essentially, right? When I watch travel videos, right, you'll see, oh, ramen for 1,000 yen. What does that mean? Right, so move back 100, move back again, $10. So we're looking at a $10 ramen. Of course, I'm making an inaccurate assumption that 1 USD or 1 CAD is equal to 100 yen. But what this allows us to do is quickly get into what is this relative, what does this look like in our local currency. Now, of course, right now, 1 USD is around 145 to 150, at its highest 160 yen, right? So there's a further discount that's been had. So if 1,000 yen ramen is going to be like $6 or $7 in USD. So for American traveling to Japan, that's really, really cheap. But just to get into the mind frame of what something is relatively, just to have like a starting point, moving the decimal place twice or divide by 100 is the shortcut that I personally use. And then when I want to actually ground it into a local currency or an exact currency, then I'll use the exact FX of that day. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you found today's insights on researching Japanese stocks helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button and drop a comment. I'm always looking to connect with fellow investors like you. This video is part of a growing collection of evergreen content, which means I'll keep updating it as I discover new ways to research Japanese stocks. So make sure you bookmark it for future reference. If you want even more valuable content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Plus, over on my Substack, I share exclusive content and resources that are totally free to help you level up your investing game. So make sure to subscribe there as well. Your support helps small channels like this grow, and I truly appreciate every one of you who's part of this journey. Let's keep compounding that knowledge, and I'll see you in the next video.